I hope my editor's not watching.
Jane, we have a number of questions coming in. These are good ones. Jane, if game designers can hack players' behaviors, how do we bear the weight of responsibility of what they do then?
Yes. Oh, well, this is the great thing about the Game Developers Conference this week. There are like lots and lots of sort of patterns bubbling up from all the different talks. And I just came out of a talk this hour by Hein Gingold. He talked about, the phrase was the awesome responsibility that game developers have right now. And it's a phrase people keep using, our ethical responsibility, our power. With power comes great responsibility. It's shown up every day, multiple sessions.
It's the idea that people are creating these environments, and the creators of those environments have a responsibility because that design affects the behavior within them.
Yes, and that it's, when you are provoking emotions in other people, that's whether it's in a game or just in life with the family and friends, that's a power and a responsibility to try and provoke emotions that serve the greater good, right? There's lots of conversation about trying to have transparency so gamers understand the system. It would be wrong to provoke them without telling them how you're doing it, for instance, right? Or to try and be honest about what you're trying to create. So it's why we want to increase like better game criticism, better game journalism, more information from game developers about their process, and the actual algorithms. Like gamers should understand the algorithms that are driving the experiences so they understand how they're being hacked and then can become makers of more games and hack themselves and hack their friends. So in my talk on Monday, one of the design questions was, if you could get 100 people to do one thing, what would it be and what would it add up to? And you have to be able to think about, making a game as getting people to do something. It's not just media or content, right? You're making people do something.
It's sort of a call to action. It's an inspiration to take an action and to communicate through action. One of our commenters is asking, where will interactivity in games go next? Jane, will these interfaces get more accurate? Might we see other types of input? And even then, have we used the existing input devices properly? Are we sort of getting the most out of the technology that we have?
Good question. I mean, I think for me, one of the big tracks is what we call programmable reality, which is putting computation and senses in things other than hardware on a desk, right? So like I love the Nike Plus in my sneakers.
Sure.
So everywhere I run is a treadmill now.
Sure,
everywhere I run is a machine.
I really dig those too.
Yeah, and there's like great cheap dry neurosensors that you can wear like a Bluetooth device that measure your attention and concentration, that they're getting hooked up into games. So I think the next big phase is we're going to have the ability to measure our activity and our location and our social interaction, who we were near, how long we were near them. We're going to measure it on our pets. We're going to measure it on our friends and family, our objects. It's just so being able to really play with reality. My friend Ian Bogos has this cool game for business travelers where you play it on your iPhone knows what airport you're at. It has different game missions and challenges and prizes.
Go get the Cinnabon at Chicago.
Yeah. But and it gives you something to do, when you're traveling and you're not like, it's just lame traveling a lot, and here you are, and you have site-specific things. So like I might be bored going to Cincinnati again, but I'm like, oh, I can collect this thing, and it gives you, I don't know. Anyway, I like that. I think it's great to add meaning. If there are areas of your life that aren't meaningful enough yet, a game could help give that sense of adventure and purpose, and I think that's okay. It doesn't have to be real adventure. It can be game adventure.
What do you think about the separation between virtual and reality, Jane? Should we keep the two worlds separate?
Yeah, super great question. So sometimes, yes, because virtual worlds are a great place to try things in a low-risk context. So if you want to explore solutions that might not work, or try on personalities that maybe you're not sure you're ready to embody for real, right? Super great for that, virtual world only. But once you start to realize what strategies work or what personalities make you feel more like yourself, then you should funnel that back into the real world. I think of like, what if kids in school felt as awesome when they walked into the classroom as they did when they walked into their favorite virtual world or game environment? We have to figure out some way to blend that.
Jane, the book. What's the book and when is it coming out?
I hope my editor is not watching. The book, it's called Reality's Broken. It should be coming out in 2010, so a while. I'm writing it now, and it's basically going to be looking at happiness and collaboration and our agency as creative people who can change the world, and figuring out just what kinds of games we need to make more of and what kinds of games we need to play more of. And it's for everybody. It's for people who already play games and love them and people who don't. I'm just trying to create basically kind of like the green movement. I think we need a game movement where people look at the world and realize that it will be better with certain kinds of play, and that we should all engage in that kind of play and help other people play like that too.
So for people watching this who don't understand why games should matter, what is the most concise way that you can express why your life and your work really is devoted to understanding games? For me, it boils down to a light bulb that went over my head a couple years ago. When we're playing games, we're not suffering. When we're truly engaged in play, we are socially connected with other people. We feel like we're using our strengths to do something important. We are getting feedback on our actions. It's not like we're in a void, which can be very, upsetting. And so, there's a great quote from Brian Sutton Smith, a play philosopher. He says, the opposite of play isn't work, it's depression. So for me, games are important because they take people out of suffering and give them meaning and agency and social connection and stories about their lives that are good and real. So I think we're going to help raise the quality of life of people on the planet if we create the right kinds of games. So games make the world better.
Yeah. And I think that in the biggest possible meaning of quality of life, if we can, the more we play, the higher human potential we achieve.
So IFTF.org to see some of the work that Jane and her colleagues at Institute for the Future are developing around the future and around games.